All right, let's talk about the third costly mistake leaders make. Not knowing their blind spots, their operational blind spots. There you are in your red car going down the road of business, and that yellow car represents a lawsuit that you did not see coming. It represents a heart attack one of your employees that they had that they did not see coming. That blue car represents a workers' comp claim that you know you have on the books. It's starting to get old and very expensive. It's starting to grow hair on it, as we call it. Now, all of you are familiar with the Pareto's principle, the 80-20 rule, right? But have you heard of the 90-10 rule? The 90-10 rule says that 10% of your employees right now are going to cost you 90% of your increases in health care. So again, what's the moral of the story there? Have risk assessments done, not only in workers' comp, but on health care. Know where your blind spots are. And at the end of our time together, for those of you that are interested, I'll be more than happy to make one available to you at no cost. It's my give back to those that came today. But if I can get you to remember just two things from today, I'd like you to remember this. Number one, if you reduce your business risk as a company, you can and will increase your profitability as a company. But number two, know your blind spots. Know your blind spots. Number one New York bestselling authors Larry Bossidy and Ram Charan have a book called Execution. And in their book, they make the observation that too many business leaders today fool themselves into thinking that their businesses are well run. Many of you have heard the concept that sometimes we don't know what we don't know. And I'm going to share the story about Tom and Andrew with you. Tom was a successful distributorship business, and his litmus test of hiring seemed like if you could fog a mirror, you could come on through the doors. It wasn't literally like that, but that's what it seemed like. Because once you hire somebody and put them in your canoe of business, it's like someone reaches in to the canoe and takes that paddle out of your hand, and you become an unguided canoe going down the river towards the waterfall. Because if you have a claim on day one or day two or hour one or hour two, your company's on it. You're paying for that claim. Andrew, a 32-year-old young man, had back surgery 3 months before he was hired. None of this information came out of the interview process. So what do you think happened in the first 3 weeks of Andrew's hire? Re-injures his back. Andrew's claim ran about $76,000. And based on Tom's profit margin, he now had to sell over $2 million just to break even for that. Again, huge, big money. So let me ask you this question. Have you ever hired someone today and put them on the job the next day? Well, the answer should be, no, we haven't, no, we won't. Because remember that conditional offer of employment letter we just talked about? That's an extremely important document. Because if someone is less than honest in completing that medical health questionnaire, you have just given yourself a get-out-of-jail-free card. How was that? Through a court case called Martin Company versus Carpenter. If someone is less than honest in completing that medical health questionnaire, your carrier now has the legal right to deny that workers' compensation claim. Again, saving your company a lot of money in that process. A lot of money. Now, I know in my book, I write the fact that there are many people in the HR space who are concerned about this because of concerns with ADA. But having done this for a long time and looked at the preponderance of the evidence and the number of attorneys involved in this issue, more would be glad that you had it than not. If done the right way, it's a very, extremely effective tool. All right, let's talk about some other blind spots. I'm assuming many of you are doing pre-employment background checks. Are you doing the right ones? Is the question. Dave wished he had done his, and so do I. Had Dave done it, he'd have realized that George had a rap sheet probably two pages long. But I put some great resources up there for you. That second resource comes from the Judges of Compensation Claims. You can actually go online and you can see if the person that you're hiring has had legal representation before. It won't be the only filter that you use. It's just another arrow in your quiver that you might want to be able to keep track of. The other resource at the bottom comes from the Florida Department of State and mugshots.com. Again, you can go online and you can check to see if the people that you're fixing to hire have got any civil or criminal background issues. You might want to know that. Sure you would too as well. Let's talk about some other blind spots. Are you doing motor vehicle checks on all your employees that drive your vehicles? Please do that. Why? Because of a legal terminology called negligent entrustment. If you entrust your employees with your company vehicles or their personal car on company time, and they have a serious automobile accident, and their license has been suspended or revoked, the legal community, they'll do an absolute tap dance on your head. They will eat your lunch. Let me rephrase that. They'll eat you for lunch. Make sure you're having them done. Shouldn't cost you anything. If you're being charged, come and see me. The next is character assessments. And when I talk about character assessments, many times people are thinking about personality profiling. And I will say they are a very effective tool to use. And I have clients that do that. But I'm actually talking about something that has become very popular in the last 7 years called integrity testing. And it's become very popular because it's pretty scary accurate in ferreting out those people who suffer from a condition called cognitive dissonance. What in the world is that? That's when people's unproductive behaviors are not in alignment with whatever is deep in their subconscious mind, their head. It comes out. It's looking for their propensity for drug use. It looks at their issues with theft. It even has a hostility quotient in it. It can even test to see if they're trying to beat the test or not. Again, something to think about. Let's talk about some other blind spots. How many of you are using doc in the boxes or emergency rooms of hospital as your first medical defense situation? Who's using that when your employees get injured? Didn't see any hands go up. That's a good thing. I would be the first to say there's some very good doctors at doc in the boxes or ERs. But I'm here to advocate to you that you want to consider using occupational physicians. And why is that? Because OCDocs for short, they're more known and have more of a propensity to get your people back to work. We witnessed during the recession, and we still see it today, where there's some doctors who look for a gravy train of annuitized income from you and your insurance company by having your employees come back and back and back for medical care. Shouldn't be that way. Occupational medical facilities are more in line with getting your people back to work. Which then cascades me into another important topic. How really robust can you tell yourself is your return to work program? It's huge. It's an absolute huge cost driver to the cost of your work comp program and to your company. Let me give you an example. Let's say that you're spending $50, $100, $500,000 on your workers' comp insurance as a company. Let's say tomorrow you have a $5,000 claim. How much do you think that claim is going to cost your company? Some people say, well, gosh, probably costs $5,000. Well, no, I've got an insurance company paying my claim. I'm spending $100,000 in premiums. No, you're going to spend the $100,000 in premiums and you're going to pay the $5,000 back. And you're thinking, how is that? Because of an issue called an experience modification. You end up paying your claims back, everyone. Workers' comp's not insurance. It's almost like a funding mechanism for claims. But let me spice this up a little bit. There is a 1-to-1 ratio in Florida right now that a $5,000 claim of just medical bills, it's going to cost your company $5,000 over a 3-year period of time. But this is where it gets really nasty. The second your insurance company pays 1 dime of lost wages, you have effectively quadrupled the cost of that claim for your company. Did y'all know that? A $5,000 claim literally will cost your company 20 grand, 4 times the cost of that claim once they pay lost wages. That's why return to work is so critically important.